Are you waking up and consciously choosing your day, or are you waking up and just reacting to it? Because most people never consciously choose their day, let alone choose their life. Today, we're going to talk about the power of intention and why it's important. Welcome to Mystical Journeys with Jase. Two people wake up at the same time tomorrow morning. Same alarm, same hour, same kind of day waiting for them. The first person reaches for their phone before their eyes are fully open. They start scrolling, they check some messages, they absorb the news, the stress, everyone else's urgency. And before their feet even touch the floor, the day already begins and belongs to somebody else. The second person does something different. They sit up, they place their feet firmly on the floor, they take one slow breath, and they say something out loud. One sentence, and with that sentence, they claim their day before the world can take it. Which person are you? I want to share something with you. The reason I started this podcast, yes, the intention behind every single episode, is to help you empower your life, not just to entertain you, not to fill your commute, but to actually give you something that you can build a life of your own choosing. A path that reflects your values, your vision, and produces some real positive results. And today's topic sits right at the center of that mission: intention. Not as a buzzword, not as something you just scribble in front of you in a journal and forget about, but as a daily, deliberate decision that shapes who you're becoming. Today, we're going to cover what intention actually is, what it isn't, and why most people get it wrong, and how to build a simple 7-day ritual that can begin to change the direction of your life. All right, let's get into it. Here's the first part: intention is not a wish. Before anything else, get this clear. Most people use the word intention to describe a wish. I intend to be more confident, meaning I hope that happens someday. I intend to get healthier, meaning when the conditions are right, maybe. That's not intention. That is passive longing with a better vocabulary. Real intention is a decision, conscious, deliberate declaration about who you are choosing to be. Not someday, but right now, regardless of how your circumstances look. Wishing says, "Life, please cooperate." Intention says, "I know who I am showing up as today, no matter what." And that shift from hoping to deciding moves you from powerless to powerful. All right, let me give you an example of what I mean. When I sat down to build this podcast, I had to get it clear on my own intention. And here it is, simply stated: my intention is to empower your life. My intention is to help you build a path of your own choosing that produces real positive results. Not somebody else's path, yours. That intention shapes every topic I choose, every guest I consider, every episode I write. It acts as a filter. When I'm deciding what to include, I ask, does it serve that intention? Does this help to empower somebody's life? That's what real intention does. It guides your decisions. It keeps you on course. It gives you a standard to return to when life gets noisy, distractive, or unclear. Now, imagine applying that same clarity to your mornings, to your relationships, to your work, to the way that you take care of your body. That's what we're building towards today. Dr. Wayne Dyer spent decades thinking about intention. He didn't describe it as something you force, he described it as something you align with. Dyer saw intention as a field, an invisible intelligence rooted in qualities like love, kindness, creativity, abundance, and service. And he also believed that when you consciously align yourself with one of those qualities, something shifts. Not in your mindset, but in your energy, in how you move through the world. His most important challenge to people was this: stop asking what I can get today and start asking, how can I serve today? That shift sounds small, but it's enormous. When you're oriented around getting, you walk into every room in a state of scarcity, measuring, comparing, protecting. But when you're oriented around serving and contributing, your whole posture changes. You listen differently. You speak differently. You see opportunities you would have otherwise just maybe walked right past. Think about what that looks like practically. Say your intention for the day is I serve with excellence. You walk into your workplace with that as your filter. A difficult colleague says something frustrating, and instead of reacting, you pause because your intention isn't to win the moment, it's to serve with excellence. That intention changes your response, and that changed response changes the outcome of the conversation. And a changed conversation can change a relationship, and change relationships change a life. That's not mystical. That is intention working exactly the way it's supposed to. Dyer also gave us this line, which I think is one of the most practically powerful ideas in personal development. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Your intention is your lens, and your lens determines what you see. And what you see determines what you believe is possible. And what you believe is possible determines what you pursue. When you set your intention for growth, setbacks start looking like lessons. Set your intention to abundance and you start noticing opportunity where you previously only saw limitation. Set your intention to service, and every interaction becomes a chance to contribute something. I want you to stop chasing outcomes and start aligning with qualities. Because when you embody the quality, when you make your intention, the outcome tends to flow in the ways you couldn't have manufactured through effort alone. Now, let's talk about Louise Hay because she gives us some wonderful things that are equally powerful from a different angle. If Dr. Dyer showed us that intention is the field we align with, Miss Hay showed us that intention is also a script we can consciously rewrite. Here's what Louise understood deeply: your subconscious mind is not neutral, it's a recording. It holds every belief, every message, every story that you've ever repeated about yourself. And it does not distinguish between what's true and what's simply rehearsed. This means if you spent years consciously or not rehearsing thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I can't stick with anything, I'm not the kind of person who succeeds at this, those thoughts have become your operating system. And you can't override an operating system with a single positive thought on a Tuesday morning. You have to replace the entire script deliberately, consistently. Yes, every day, as often as you can, clean out the allowed things that you've told yourself that are no longer true about you or your life. I want you to replace them with things that are becoming true in your life. Louise used affirmations, not empty repetition, but internal reprogramming. She would work with people who had deep wounds around self worth. And instead of asking them to say, I hope I love myself one day, she had them say, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Present tense, active, declarative. Here's a practical example of how this works in real life. Let's say someone struggles with confidence when speaking up in meetings. Their current inner script says, oh no, I always freeze. No one takes me seriously. That script is running in the background, shaping every decision about whether to speak or stay silent. Louise's approach would be to replace it with something like, I speak with clarity and confidence, not because it's immediately true, but because the subconscious responds to repetition, not debate. When you repeat it enough with enough emotional presence, and brain starts to organize its behavior around it. And yes, resistance will show up immediately. You say, I'm confident and capable, and the overprotective ego voice says, no, no, you're not. You say, I'm disciplined, and the voice says, you've never finished anything. That's not failure. That's the old programming fighting for its survival. If you remember me discussing the force of neutral, we're going to remove more and more of that energy from that. Overprotective ego voice and energy have to go. Anyhow, we're going to start building your life force and your intention in a direction that's going to be healthy for you. Louise Hay's answer was not to fight that mental noise, not to argue with it, to simply repeat a new intention again and again until it stops feeling foreign, until it becomes something neutral and then familiar and then true. Here's another real example. Someone starting a new health journey. Their old script was, I tried this before, I've always quit, never works. Okay. Their new intention is, I treat my body with respect and consistency. They don't have to believe it fully on day one. They just have to say it. Show up, say it again, and let the repetition slowly shift that energy until that person who is always quitting, they start becoming the person who actually shows up. That is how change actually works. Not overnight, not through motivation alone, through the patient, steady replacement of an old story and an old piece of programming with a new declaration. Okay, let's discuss where these two authors meet. These two authors approach intention differently, but they were pointing at the same truth. Your inner world shapes your outer experience. What you repeatedly declare about yourself with presence and emotion is not just positive thinking, it's the construction of a new identity. And identity, more than any external strategy, determines the direction of a life. Both Dyer and Hay understood you cannot wait to feel different before you act differently. You declare your intention first, speak it before it feels real, you embody it before it feels natural, and then, through repetition and commitment, it becomes real. Decide on who you're becoming, say it, repeat it, and live from it. All right, the next part. Here's where some mistakes can happen, where most people go wrong. Most people confuse intention with desire. Desire says, I want to lose weight. Intention says, I treat my body with respect and strength. Desire says, I want more money. Intention says, I operate with focus, discipline, and real value. Desire says, I want to feel more confident. Intention says, I show up with calm certainty. Desire is chasing an outcome. Intention is claiming a path. And we get to going to a better direction, the outcome follows always. Because a person who genuinely treats their body with respect makes different choices at dinner. A person who operates with focus and discipline pursues different opportunities. A person who shows up with calm certainty has different conversations. Character produces results every time. The other mistake is treating like as far as intention is treating things like it's only a one-time event. Setting it once in January and wondering why nothing changed by March. Intention is a daily practice, a repeated declaration, a morning ritual that steadily rewires how you see yourself and therefore how you move through the world. All right, let's get to the science behind all this. This is not just philosophy, there's real neuroscience here. Your brain has a filtering system. Its job is to decide what gets your attention out of the millions of pieces of information that are coming at you every single day. And it filters based upon what you've told it through repetition and emotion. It filters based on the things that matter to you. When you repeatedly set the intention, I take decisive action, your brain starts scanning for moments that require decisiveness. You correct your actions in life much faster. You act when you previously would have stalled. When you set your intention, I serve with excellence, your brain starts filtering interactions through the lens. You notice opportunities to contribute wherever you would have just missed them entirely. Repeated intention, spoken with emotion and presence, tells your brain who you are becoming, and your brain, which craves consistency, begins organizing your perception and behavior to match that declaration. It's not magic, it's neuroscience. Available to every single one of us. starting tomorrow morning. All right, here's where we get practical. We're going to do something called the 7-day intention ritual. I don't want you leaving this episode just feeling good about what you heard. I want you to do something with it. So here's your challenge: 7 days, one intention. All right, you ready? All right, here we go. Step one, choose your area. Where do you feel most stuck or scattered right now? Health, confidence, discipline, relationships, career, peace of mind? Pick one, just one. All right. Step two, I want you to craft your intention. One sentence, present sense. Okay. Just in the present. Okay. And what I'd like you to be able to do is do it with identity, emotionally resonant, very short and clear. Here's some examples to help you find yours. I move through my day with calm authority. I treat my body with respect and strength. I create value everywhere I go. I speak with courage and clarity. I serve with excellence in everything I do. I am focused, disciplined, and fully present. I build my life on my own terms with purpose and intention. You know what? That last one's close to my heart because that is essentially what this podcast is about. Helping you build a life on your own terms, helping you get off autopilot and onto a path of your own choosing. Your sentence should feel like a flag you're planting in the ground, not a wish, but a declaration. Step three, the morning ritual. All right. For 7 consecutive days, before your phone, before social media, before anything else pulls your attention outward, do this. Stand up, put your feet flat on the floor, take 3 slow breaths, and then speak your intention out loud 3 times, slowly, with authority. I want you to feel it in your chest, not just in your head, and then carry it into your day. That's the whole ritual. Takes less than 2 minutes, but those 2 minutes done consistently are more powerful than an hour of scrolling and reacting. All right. Step four, begin to notice what happens. Please don't force the results. Just observe. Notice moments when you naturally align with your intention. Notice the contrast when you don't. And use that gap as some information, not self criticism. Notice when your internal dialogue starts to shift. Notice whether the resistance starts to soften, because that's when intention starts to feel familiar instead of foreign. You are crossing a threshold, and that is real change beginning. Okay, let's start wrapping this one up for today. I want you to come back to where we started. The reason I do this podcast, my intention is to help empower your life, to help you build a path of your own choosing that leads somewhere meaningful, somewhere that actually reflects who you are and what you value. And I genuinely believe that the practice we talked about today, simple, consistent with deliberate intention, is one of the most accessible and most underused tools available to anyone who wants to build that kind of life. Over the years, I've spent lots of time doing my best to help people to understand that you are not powerless, that you can align with something much greater than you. I want you to know that the story that you have told yourself so far can change, and you can align yourself and your life with a much better purpose by using the power of intention. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need a new year or a clean slate. You need one sentence, spoken deliberately every morning for 7 days. That's where it starts. So here's my question for you as we close. Are you going to wake up tomorrow with intention as your first action item? Are you going to wake up tomorrow and start to direct your life? Yes. Pick your sentence. Speak it with conviction. Stand in it even when it feels unfamiliar. And at the end of 7 days from now, who am I becoming? If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you take the 7-day intention challenge, I would genuinely love to hear how it goes, because enhancing your life and your spirituality is exactly why this podcast exists. Okay. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.